Hi. I'm in a blanket fort. I felt like it was appropriate for this video. I was working on a big, high-effort Halloween special that was going to be coming out today, but it needs a little bit more time in the oven, so I figured that this gives me a good excuse to tell some stories that I've always wanted to tell. Every storytelling video I've made so far has been really fun and lighthearted in nature, but this one's going to be scary, and towards the end, a little sad. So that'll be fun. But regardless, just grab a blanket, grab some hot chocolate or whatever, and let's get uncomfortable. Every single story that I'm going to tell today is going to be 100% true, and a thing that actually happened to me. I don't tell these stories very often because they make me uncomfortable, but I always get a little excited when I do get a chance to tell these stories because they're pretty good in my opinion. I used to live in a old duplex, and the duplex itself was actually pretty nice, but the entire basement just had the most rancid vibes I've ever encountered. It's very cliche, I know, but it's true. And there was always one specific room downstairs that all of the bad vibes seemed to radiate from. It was small and made entirely of concrete, completely soundproof. Don't know what its purpose was before we moved in, but just bad is all I could say. Every single skeptical person I've ever met agreed that that room just had something horrible about it. And despite all the gigantic red flags, when I was 13, I decided to move downstairs because my little child brain wanted independence, and what's more independent than having an entire layer of the house all to yourself? So I moved in downstairs, and I probably wouldn't have done that if I knew I was signing myself up to be tortured. The entire time that I lived down there, I felt uncomfortable. I felt like I was being watched, but not just watched in a normal way. I felt like I was being glared at. Like someone who really didn't like me was staring at me from across the room, kind of like that. In my closet, there was a shitty little pull string light switch. It looked like this, but it was wall mounted, so it was a little bit more like this. And it had a little ball at the end, so whenever you would turn the light on or off, the little ball at the end would just kind of swing and hit the wall a little bit, just making a little tapping noise. And I would always leave that closet light on at night because, I was scared. Except for one night, I went to bed and I woke up to the sound of a clicking noise. And my eyes shot open because I was scared, and I was met with pitch black. The light was no longer on. And I was like, oh damn, there was a power outage. But then I heard the little tapping of the drawstring hitting the wall, and my closet door was closed. So middle school me is sitting there in the dark, frozen with fear, because I just realized that the power didn't actually go out. Someone physically turned off the light in my closet. And then my eyes went over to the door to my room. Now, just a little bit of context. This door locks from the inside. There is no way for anyone to get in whenever I close the door and lock it, which I did every single night. Due to my OCD, I check and double check those things about 5 times in a row. There is no way that I forgot to lock my door. But despite all that, after being woken up by the sound of the light switch turning off, my door was open. And I felt that feeling like I was getting glared at. But the dial was turned up to 10, and it was coming through the little slot in my open door. So I laid there with my eyes just completely all the way wide open in fear, just staring at the door, scared that someone or something would come through it. And I was scared for my life, because even if it wasn't a ghost or whatever, it's an intruder. I'm in danger right now. Once the sun finally came up and light filled up the room, and I no longer felt the glaring presence coming from the hallway, I got up, double-checked that the light in my closet had in fact been manually turned off, closed the door, and then I just had to get ready and go to school as if that wasn't traumatizing as fuck. And I remember that day at lunch telling some of my friends about what happened and just being met, just completely blown off, and it was so irritating. I can't say for a fact what happened because I don't know, and I'm skeptical of everything. But everything that I've been told was that it was sleep paralysis, which doesn't involve me opening up my door and then laying down in bed and turning off the light switch, and then like that doesn't make sense. I've never slept walk once in my entire life. Why would I only do it that one time? That just seems absurd. I was also told that it was probably the wind that turned off the what? That is not how the wind works. Also, we're in a basement. There are no, it just, I don't know. Either way, it was really annoying to go through that and then go and talk to my friends and then just get shut down immediately. And I'm going to expect some of that in the comments too, but that's fine. So yeah, that happened. All right, moving on to story number 2. You know those little compulsive liars that no one liked in elementary school who would always say shit like, oh, my dad works at Nintendo. And it's like, no, the fuck he doesn't. This next story sounds like the kind of bullshit that one of those kids would say, only I'm not joking, and I can't stress that enough. I went to an old haunted penitentiary in Idaho just because I think stuff like that is really cool. Now, was the place haunted? I don't know. It mostly just felt like an old penitentiary. But something was real different about solitary confinement. I was with my girlfriend at the time, so I actually have a witness to all this, and me and her both decided to go into the solitary confinement area alone. Me and her both enjoyed stuff like ghost adventures, so we decided to, like, you know, do a little poking and prodding just to see if we could get any responses, and oh boy did we. So me and her were just standing in there alone, asking questions to the air, looking like absolute fucking idiots, until like just a massive wave of get the fuck out of here just kind of started creeping up. And around that time, my girlfriend, who was not scared of this kind of shit at all, was like, dude, I'm stepping out of here. Let's go immediately. And I felt that too, but I was like, hold on. Let me kick the hornet's nest a little bit. So she left, but was like trying to get me to come out, and I just kept refusing to leave until I got something. And then, I shit you not, I got just the heaviest sensation of getting punched in the face. My right cheekbone hurt like hell. I had a massive headache for like a whole hour after that, and it like jolted me a little bit. And the moment after it happened, I was like, all right, never mind, sorry. And then I left because of course I was gonna apologize. You know, it was my fault. I was being a dick. That's on me. My bad. Sorry, ghost. But yeah, I know what it sounds like. I'm saying I got punched by a ghost, which is a really hard thing for anyone to believe. I get it. I do have an eyewitness to all this, and she did say, it seems like you got punched in the face by a ghost, dude. That's fucked up. So if I am just crazy, it was a shared craziness. I don't know how valid that is, but yeah, that's a true thing that happened, and it scared the shit out of me. Okay, last ghost story. Then we're gonna move on to sad stuff. Alright, so I stayed at a really old hotel. It was at some hot springs place. It's when I was about, I'm gonna say like 12, 11 maybe. And once again, these are the only 2 times I've done it, but at that moment I was like, I wanna do a little bit of ghost hunting. Because I got a vibe, and I never get that vibe except for story number 2. And my mom was just like, oh, he's just a dumb little kid, let him run around, have fun or whatever. So as I was exploring and poking around upstairs, my mom was checking out of the hotel, and she mentioned to the front desk lady, like, oh, my son thinks this place might be haunted, ha ha ha. And the front desk lady was like, oh yeah, no, absolutely, this place used to be a hospital in World War I. And my mom was like, oh, Jesus. And as that conversation was going on downstairs that I was unaware of, I saw something that genuinely felt like the closest to witnessing something unfathomable. It genuinely felt like some HP Lovecraftian type moment where I saw something and my brain was like, you're not supposed to see that, dude. I saw, just out of the corner of my eye, something looking at me as I was poking around, just like peeking around the doorway and looking at me. When I looked directly at it, I saw it for a split second, whipped back, and I chased after it. What a brave child I was. I ran out into the hallway where it was peering at me from, and I saw a three-dimensional shadow. I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't physically make sense, but I saw it go away from me and run into another room. And it wasn't like a full human body running. It was just like a humanoid type shape just darting around. And after it went into another room and I couldn't find it again, then the fear started. It was all fun, all exploration until I found something, and I wasn't expecting that. So I went downstairs to my mom, and my mom was like, yeah, we should leave, but it's too late for me to not get a little bit scarred. But yeah, I have no clue what the hell that was. I kind of want to chalk it up to just like, oh, that was just like childhood imagination going wild or whatever, but I feel like that really doesn't do justice to myself as a child and my intelligence as a child, because I wasn't that dumb to just believe the shit that I came up with. So I don't know. Logically, that's the best excuse I could come up with. But anyways, moving forward. About 2 years ago, my dog Bianca passed away. It was of old age, and she lived a really long life. If I'm being honest, she lived for kind of longer than everyone was expecting. Here's a photo of me when I was really little with Bianca when she was around 4-ish. But she died on the 4th of July as I was moving to Colorado. And this makes me sad to talk about, but the 4th of July was always Bianca's least favorite day. She always hated fireworks. Like, it really, really, really scared her. So the 4th of July, by extension, was a holiday that I really hated because it's just the scare Tyler's dog day. I didn't like that. And once she finally hit the age where her hearing started to go, and the 4th of July no longer scared her, she died on the 4th of July. We were staying in a hotel, which is the most inconvenient place to have a loved one die. But I remember we just got back from a little walk, and I remember that walk was actually really cool because I got to run with Bianca down the hallway. And I remember it really vividly because we always used to love running down hallways together, but it's been a handful of years since we were able to do that, and we finally did it, and it was just so sweet and heartwarming, and I could tell both of us really enjoyed it. And I'm really glad that we did, because that was one of the last experiences I ever got with Bianca. After our fun little run, we just walked around a little bit. She went to use the bathroom and whatnot, and then when we came back to the hotel room, our key wasn't working. So my mom was like, well, fuck, let me just run down to the front office real quick and I'll get a new one. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to watch Bianca. So me and her are sitting in the hallway waiting for my mom to get back, and Bianca starts having trouble. She starts looking really unwell, and she lies down and starts going to the bathroom and started having seizures. And I was just alone at 1 a.m. with fireworks going off in the background, completely alone, no one else in the entire hotel, I swear to God, just sitting there, locked out of a room with my dog who's dying in front of my eyes, and I have no clue what I'm supposed to do. I didn't have my phone, I couldn't contact my mom, I don't even really know where she went, and I was just alone and helpless to help my dog. And after her seizures stopped, she just laid there, completely motionless, no longer breathing, eyes completely open in fear. And I'm just sitting there alone, holding her and crying. And just, I remember saying, this is going to get really dark in a really funny way. You have my permission to laugh. As I'm crying, I'm pleading, like, please don't go, Bianca. I love you so much. And in that moment, after laying completely still for like 15 seconds, she came back to life and started breathing. And there was a moment where I was like, yay! Oh no, sweetie, you could go. You don't actually have to come back. Oh God. I accidentally wished her back to life, only for her to suffer for another 5 minutes and then die again. And it's like, oh man, I know it's probably not actually my fault, but it kind of feels like my fault a little bit. And my mom finally came back, and my mom was able to say goodbye to Bianca, and then she passed away. But that fear of my dog is dying and there is nothing I can do and no one around to help, that feeling was just the absolute worst. But thankfully that fear that I had in the moment was fairly short-lived, since my mom came back just like a few minutes later. And I more or less completely forgot about that feeling that I had in that moment until I watched Jack. Which I know, very out of left field that I just threw that in here, but it's relevant, I promise. But there's a moment in Jack where, as he's going down the stairs, his heart just stops and he collapses on the floor, and his best friend sees it happen. His best friend, who's only a kid, by the way, runs up to him and tries to get him to wake up, and it won't work, and he's scared, and he's crying out for help, and there's absolutely no one around, and he doesn't know what to do. And in that moment, I cried like a fucking baby. I just bawled my eyes out. I kind of more or less forgot about how I felt in that moment until I saw it be depicted in Jack, and it just really reignited it for me, and I was so scared and so sad, and I got a good cry out of it. So thanks, Jack, for making me process but also relive trauma. Maybe that's not a good thing, actually. Fuck you, Jack. I changed my mind. Alright, this video started off scary and ended sad, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you managed to watch this video until this far into the runtime, then I figure I might as well let you in on a little secret, so don't tell nobody. I got a handful of videos in the works right now that I'm really excited to make. A lot of them are high effort, though, so I kind of wanted this to just be an excuse to make something kind of lazy. There's the Halloween special, which is a video that I've been wanting to make for about 2 years now, so I'm really wanting to take my time and make it as good and polished as possible. But I'm really excited for it. If you like vampires and like mall goth culture, you're really gonna like it, so stay tuned for that. And there's actually a handful of others that I've already filmed, but so just stay tuned, because I got some really cool stuff on the horizon. Anyways, thank you for hanging out with me, and happy Halloween. Good night.